So what do you say? Let's check out some records I bought. First up is Toxic Holocaust. This is the band's 6th full-length album. It's called Primal Future 2019. You can probably guess what year this album came out. This is a band, but it's a one-man band. It's the brainchild of a guy named Joel Grind. And there are a lot of one-man bands out there. There's Midnight, there's Hell Ripper, there's High Spirits. What's interesting about the modern breed of one-man bands is that they sound like actual bands. I think way back in the past when one person would try to do a project like this, it would sound pretty artificial. There'd be a lot of computers and drum machines and that kind of thing. But this is an actual band, and he does have a full band when he goes out and tours live, much like the other bands I just mentioned. By the way, you should check out all of these bands. I've mentioned them in various episodes of Vinyl Hall and other shows I do as well, so definitely check those out. So Toxic Holocaust has some clear influences. There's definitely some Motorhead and some Venom in there, but also some rock sensibilities as well. Kind of like Venom and Motorhead, to be honest. The music is speedy, it's thrashy, it's definitely great stuff. Of course, some people might be thrown off by the cover art. It doesn't look like a thrash metal band or a metal band in general. It looks kind of new wavy. I like it. It's odd. It's weird. It's, you definitely have this sort of garish color scheme. Even the record, which I'll show you in a minute, has that theme to it. Kind of has a Trauma-esque cinematic vibe to it. I kind of dig that. Show you the hype sticker here. I love the quote from Blabbermouth. It says, "Forget the retro thrash resurgence. Toxic Holocaust is the real shit." Love it. So I'm just going to show you the vinyl, of course. It is purple with green splatter. Of course, the custom disc labels are thematic with the band. The garish colors, the radiation symbol. Great stuff. Purple with green splatter is the variant. Not too bad. So a lot of bands are treading this whole retro metal landscape thing. I mentioned a few, there are a lot more of them out there, but I really feel like Toxic Holocaust is doing it well, as well as forging their own path. So definitely a worthy buy. This next one is a 2017 reissue of a classic EP in a series of classic EPs from the band Venom. This was a birthday present, believe it or not, from my good pal Eric Bloom. Of course, you know Eric. You've seen him in a couple episodes of the Record Store Report. He and I have been best friends and metal friends for about 35 years now. So he knows exactly what to get me for my birthday. And he knows I love Venom. So there you go. Thank you, Eric, by the way. Of course, as I mentioned before, there are a number of Assault EPs from Venom that came out back in the 1980s. There's American Assault, Canadian Assault, German Assault, Scandinavian Assault, Japanese Assault. I think I'm not missing any of them. But this is French Assault. Originally came out in 1985. So just going through some of the tracks here. Nightmare and Bloodlust are live in the studio recordings. They were recorded for the Friday Rock Show with Tommy Vance back in 1985. Nomine Satanas is the B-side to the Bloodlust single. Countess Bathory live is interesting. It's not on some of the more classic Venom live albums. It's not from Eine Kleine Nacht music. It's not from Alive in 85, and it's not from The Seventh Date of Hell. Rather, it's from the official bootleg, which came out in 1986. Power Drive, of course, is from the Possessed album, and Burstin' Out, not Bursting Out, is from the Die Hard 12-inch, specifically the 12-inch. It's not on the 7-inch single. So, also put out by Back on Black Records, this reissue. Just going through some of what's in here, of course, there is a printed inner sleeve. It has pictures of all of the other Assault discs that Back on Black were selling, or still are selling. You'll have to check that out yourself. And, of course, this very familiar design. Gee, where did this come from, I wonder? Anyways, Assault. Check out the vinyl, of course. It is blue with red splatter, with nice labels, and there you go. So at this point, I now have 3 of the Assault EPs. I also have Canadian Assault and American Assault. Those are obviously OGs. Still looking for the other 3, and yeah, this is great. So this is Venom with French Assault. Next up is the first solo album from Biff Byford, otherwise known as the lead singer of Saxon. This was released in 2020. Although there are moments on this record that differentiate themselves from actual Saxon songs, there are also tracks that sound like Saxon songs. Pedal to the Metal comes to mind, which is probably my favorite song on this album. There's also a lot of straightforward rock music here, too, which breaks it up a bit. It's pretty nice. Definitely some classic Biff Byford here in a lot of respects. He still has this amazing voice. Here's the not quite impressive gatefold. After all these years, yeah, still holds up. I saw Saxon in 2018 open for Judas Priest. Amazing set. Blew everyone away. So this particular vinyl version that I have is lacking the track Scarborough Fair, which is a Simon & Garfunkel cover version. Truth be known, you're not missing much. I didn't like the track myself. It is included as a 7-inch on a limited edition of this record, included in the record, but yeah, not missing it. I don't think it fits on the record very well, to be honest. There is a music video for that track, interestingly enough. So if you want to hear it and see the video, you're welcome to it. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. You can also skip Me and You, which is the second to last song on this album. It's a ballad with saxophones. Yeah, you can skip it. So just taking a look at the vinyl here, it is plain old black with plain old labels. There you go. And the inner sleeve is printed. Get the lyrics, and you get that awful painting of the band. Overall, I would say this album delivers more than it fails. A lot more, to be honest. I love Saxon. I love Biff Byford, so maybe I have a little bit of a bias there. If you're a Saxon fan, I think you're going to like quite a bit of this album, and maybe you'll be interested in some of the other material, too, as a curiosity. Anyways, this is Biff Byford with School of Hard Knocks. So yes, I'm finally getting around to Ambush. This is their first album called Firestorm, came out in 2014, Swedish metal band. They have 2 other releases out, including a 2020, which I'll get to one day. But this is the first album. So Ambush has a lot of hard rock sensibilities with some melodic power metal going on, occasional moments of speed, and some falsetto vocals. I'm thinking early Halloween, I'm thinking Abattoir, I'm thinking Agent Steel in a lot of respects. Also, a lot of people say that they hear Judas Priest and Accept in this band. I don't hear it as much as other people do. Maybe in the riff department, I hear some mid-career Accept, though infrequently. So my copy is the 2020 reissue in electric blue translucent vinyl. It's limited to 200 copies. I will show you the vinyl here. It's a nice color. There are the labels for you. Also, a printed inner sleeve. Actually, an insert with lyrics and picture of the band. And of course, since it's High Roller Records, you get the massive list of their current albums, reissues, as well as current releases from current bands. So the record is decent and it's listenable, but I really feel like I need to spend more time with it to make a final decision and before I decide to buy more albums. Again, I like it. It's listenable. Am I crazy about it? Maybe not yet, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, this is Ambush with Firestorm. So here's an album I don't hear a lot of people talking about in the metal vinyl community, almost at all. Kind of a shame, actually. This is the 2018 debut record from Verni. It's called Barricade. Of course, the namesake is Didi Verni. He's the bass player for Overkill, so you know him probably right away. I think it makes a lot of sense for Didi Verni to do a solo album. He's the primary songwriter in Overkill, and as primary songwriters in general for bands, a lot of them tend to do solo projects. I think of Paul Stanley, I think of Dee Snider, and they tend to do decent ones as well, depending if you're a fan of the band or the person in general. Also, you should probably see the back cover, which, is that Gigi Allen? It looks like it. Gigi, Didi, So the album is traditional heavy metal, but there are a lot of elements of thrash. Of course, you know, you're going to expect thrash metal from Didi Verni. It's going to happen. There's also some moments of melodic hard rock. And some punk, of course. There's a little bit of punk in Overkill, but you're going to hear a little bit more of it here. I think the mix works really well, and it's expected to some degree. I think when you're a solo artist and you put out a record like this, you want to spread your wings a little bit. You want to musically explore, and that's what Didi's done in the tradition of all the other guys that have done these kinds of projects. Tracks on this one are often pretty catchy. I think Verni's voice is serviceable, but occasionally inspired. I think he shines in moments. Also, production is pretty decent. Verni had a big hand in the production, so there's that. I'm also way more excited about Verni's solo project than I was some of the stuff that Blitz has done on his own. Of course, Blitz is the singer for Overkill. BPMD or BMPD or whichever the hell it is. Pretty disappointed with that record. I know some people liked it. It's a cover tunes record too. It just doesn't work. He doesn't work on it. He doesn't work with those tracks. I'm going to stop going on about that, but let's just say Verni's record, better. Digging the vinyl on this one. It's pure white with these great labels on it. I think it only comes in white. I found no black version at all. So there's that. Also, inner sleeve with lyrics, and upside down is this mini collage of sorts. There's the man. Great bass player. One of my favorite bass players, by the way. When I was a teenager and I started playing bass, Dee Verni was definitely one of my bass role models. And I love his tone. Just a great bass player all around. So if you're a fan of overkill, but you love your classic metal with a little bit of punk in it, I think you'll dig this. But I should stress that this is not an overkill knockoff album. If you're expecting that, that's not what this is. It's its own thing. But I think you'll dig it. It's pretty good. Anyways, this is Verni with Barricade. So as many of you know, I love compilation albums. In fact, I did 2 episodes of Shortcuts dedicated to compilation albums. I usually try to squeeze at least 1 compilation in every episode of Vinyl Haul. This is obviously no exception. This is Trapped Under Ice, Volume 1, the new face of Canadian heavy metal. I love Canada a lot. I live in northern Vermont, so I'm 45 minutes from the border. I go to Montreal. I watch shows there a bunch, so definitely into what's happening up north. If you have not checked into Canadian heavy metal, you should. This is a great way to do it. Compilation albums, again, awesome. So the record also came with an OB strip showing you the bands and such. I find OB strips interesting for English language releases with English language on them. Kind of defeats the purpose of an OB. Anyways, I want to read you the blurb here. It's great. Canada is an often misunderstood place. Beyond friendly smiles and quiet winter nights surges an undercurrent of darkness, power, and magic. Fed by the solitude and expanse of the country. The perfect breeding ground for pure heavy metal madness. I agree. So this compilation is put out by Temple of Mystery Records out of Canada, of course. Put together by a couple of the guys in Cauchemar. Cauchemar is one of the bands that's on here. Great little label. I just bought 2 records from this label that are coming. So they'll be in the next Vinyl Haul. Speaking of the bands, of course, I should read them off. There's Traveler, Metallion, Cauchemar, Occult Burial, Starlight Ritual, Freeways, Barrow White, Spell, Black Rat, and Emblem. So some of the bands are better known than others. Obviously, Traveler's a bigger band, so is Freeways, and of course, Spell. I like that, though. When I got into comps back in the 1983-1984 period, the Metal Massacre series, which I've talked about a whole bunch, was really big on discovering bands. And this is in that tradition. I really like finding the bands that aren't as big, but are really great. And, you can always say you heard them when. But yeah, this is a great compilation. I think it has a nice balance of known bands and not so known bands. As for the vinyl in this release, it is classic black. And you get the Temple of Mystery logo there. A lot of their releases have this look to them. Also, I should mention that Traveler and Freeways have what appears to be exclusive tracks on this album. I haven't found them anywhere else, so definitely a sell point. So I'm really excited about this comp. A lot of the great Canadian heavy metal bands on it. I want to check out more from them. I also want to see a Volume 2 from this series. It says Volume 1. Pull out a Volume 2, right? Anyways, this is Trapped Under Ice. Great stuff. So it had been about 35 years since this band put out a record. They have 3 albums before this. This is their 4th album, a hard rock band, obviously, featuring their namesake, Adrian Vandenberg, great guitar player. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. This was released, of course, in 2020. How convenient. So I should point out right off the gate that there's a lot of Whitesnake worship going on in this record, which makes a little bit of sense. Adrian Vandenberg was in Whitesnake for a time. Also, their singer, Ronnie Romero, seems to be channeling David Coverdale a little bit at times. He also has a little bit of a Ronnie James Dio delivery thing going on, which also probably makes a little bit of sense considering that Romero is the current lead singer of Rainbow. Or he was. I can't remember his status right away, but there's always that little incestuous relationship between Rainbow and Deep Purple and Whitesnake, so you kind of expect things along those lines. A couple tracks worth talking about. My favorite song in here is definitely Freight Train, track 2, side 1. Also, there's a redo of the song Burning Heart. It's called Burning Heart 2020 here. It's an older song for this band. I love this redo. I think it's even better than the original, to be honest. So as the hype sticker says, it's 180 gram red vinyl. It comes with a download card. It is limited edition, and I should mention that it's a European only import. There are US distros that cover it though, so you should be able to find it. There are the disc labels. Nice red vinyl. Nice labels too. So the old material from Vandenberg was kind of a hit or miss thing. So I definitely say that this is the best material that Adrian Vandenberg has done, probably since his stint in Whitesnake. Catchy riffs, catchy songs, impressive guitar work in general. Definitely, I'm going to be spinning this one quite a bit. So anyways, this is Vandenberg with 2020. So the story with this copy is that it came in pretty bad shape. Not just the dent in the corner, but specifically the vinyl, which is warped beyond belief. It's not only bowl shape, it's twisted as well. It might make sense that it came that way considering the packaging. It came from the Netherlands. That's their distributor. It's an otherwise Canadian band. Came in this, which is basically a glorified envelope. I don't think you really should be shipping records transatlantically in a thing like this. It's bound to happen. So I wrote the band on their Bandcamp and asked for a replacement copy, which they gave me right away. The guitar player was really great about it. He was not too excited about what happened either. In fact, he had told me that they were thinking about doing different distributors, one specific to the continent on which you order. So there would be a North American distributor for America and Canada, and then Europe would have a European one. They're looking into doing that. Will they do it? Will they won't? I don't know. But it was really nice that my problem got addressed right away. So when the new copy came, it came in a real box, actual real box that you can, this should go across the ocean, not the other one. I'm not going to gripe about that too much, but I was really excited about how quickly they resolved the issue. And I think the band deserves huge thumbs up for that. So thank you. So getting that out of the way, let's talk about the actual record. This is Termination Shock. It is the follow-up to their first album. Great stuff. The production on it is cleaner. Some people like that. Some people complain about it. There'll always be those people who want that raw sound. I think the songs hold up really well. I like the production. I don't have a problem with it. So there you go. Of course, the artwork might look familiar. It's in the same style and color palette as the first record. Maybe some people have an issue with that as well. I don't. I like the uniformity of that, though it would be interesting to see them go off into something else thematically or style-wise concerning cover art. I dig it. It's fun. So Traveler is a traditional metal band. They're from Canada, and they do flirt with a little bit of US power metal on this release. Some people are wary of that. I think it's great. I think it adds to their core sound, and it brings a little bit of diversity to their music. I kind of dig it. Taking a look at the vinyl, classic black, custom labels. There you go. Also, an insert, of course. We got a picture of the band right there. And the standard lyrics. Get in there, you. Honestly, I think this band has gotten even better than the first album, which is really saying something because that first album is pretty fantastic. I would definitely get this one. You know what? Actually, get both of them. They're great albums. Anyways, this is Traveler with Termination Shock. So yes, I talked about this in a recent thread video I did for the Death Doom Metalhead, but I also said I'm going to talk about it again here because this is a new purchase. And it's worth talking about, obviously. And like that last video, I'm going to give you my one small complaint about it, and that's with the insert. There are no pictures. The original had pictures, really great pictures of King Diamond and the other guys in the band, and not here. I don't know why that is. Someone should tell me. Of course, if you're any sort of metal fan, you already know this record. Don't Break the Oath, second album from Mercyful Fate, originally came out in 1984. This is the 2020 reissue, featuring vocalist King Diamond before he did a solo career, of course. Influential on a lot of black metal and death metal bands in terms of lyrical content as well as image, which is funny considering that the influences for King Diamond and the band in particular are more along the lines of Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and maybe throw in a little bit of Rainbow as well. And as I've mentioned before, Don't Break the Oath is my favorite Mercyful Fate album. Still looking for an OG copy to this day. I've said that before a zillion times. So I got impatient. I bought the reissue. And why not? It also comes with cool vinyl. And this one is yellow with red flare. There are the labels, of course. And we've already talked about the insert, so I don't need to show that to you again. So Metal Blade is currently out of stock on this particular variant. They have at least one, if not two others currently on their website. So if you're looking for this one, you might have to search a little bit for it. But this recording, this reissue rather, is actually pretty decent. It's pulled from the original master tapes, if that's of interest to you. And yeah, so you should be hearing this album anyways. It's fantastic. Anyways, this is Mercyful Fate with Don't Break the Oath. And of course, I bought a Kiss album. This is the 2016 live album of theirs called Kiss Rocks Vegas. It was recorded in Las Vegas, obviously, in 2014. During a residency they did a 9-show run at the Hard Rock Hotel. The packaging, of course, is great, as Kiss usually puts out. There's a DVD down there in the center of the actual show. Great pictures as well. There you go for there, and there. Of course, there's the hype sticker. It's in 140-gram vinyl. That's pretty interesting. 40 years of classic hits. Great stuff. Of course, the DVD was a nice touch. Get to see the whole show. I'm definitely going to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but, you know, I'm a goddamn Kiss fan. I'm going to watch it 50 times. You know that. Of course, saying all of this, I'm going to be an honest Kiss fan here and say that Paul Stanley's voice is going. It's been going since somewhere in the aughts. I think vocally the last thing he did that was really good in a rock setting was probably his Live to Win solo album, which grew on me. I didn't like it at first, but I like it quite a bit now. But his falsetto has been on the decline. His new project that he's doing, his side project, I think it's called Soul Station, something along those lines. That works because he's in that register and he's not trying to do the voice he does in Kiss. So you have to put up with the occasional Paul Stanley vocal stuff, basically. You know, it's not working out for him as well. But the tracks are good, of course. The performances are good. I think they make up for that in a lot of ways. So if you're not picky about Paul's voice, you'll probably dig this. The recording quality on this is acceptable. I don't think it's amazing. I could have used a little more clarity, but again, very listenable, and it's certainly nowhere near being bootleg quality. So there's that. Of course, I wouldn't expect any deep cuts on this record for the most part. It's classic Kiss. The newest song is Heller Hallelujah. That's basically the only song from the last 20 years on here. There is Parasite and Do You Love Me? Those maybe could be considered deep cuts. I don't know. I think that's a bit of a stretch. But otherwise, it's classic Kiss. And the band knows that that's what a lot of the fans want anyways. Except for me, I want deep cuts and classic tracks. But, you know, it's a good selection. I think the set list is fine. So decent live album. I'll definitely be putting it in rotation with all the other Kiss live albums that I listen to on a regular basis, or semi-regular basis as it stands. Yeah, check it out. It's decent. And that's it for another episode of Vinyl Haul. Of course, some of you might have been wanting or anticipating some Record Store Day drops titles. We had one in late August. Here's what basically happened. I have 2 record stores in town. One decided not to participate in RSD drops at all due to safety concerns, and the other record store basically didn't have the 2 records I wanted, which is fine because the 2 records I wanted basically are going to be in wide distribution soon anyways. They weren't exclusive titles, they were first release titles, so not too concerned about that. And there is one record I'm looking for in the next one. This is at the end of September. Hopefully I get it. Hopefully I can show it to you. So we'll see what happens. Of course, if you liked any of these albums or you hated some of these albums, you should definitely let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have them. Let me know in general what you have for music suggestions. Maybe some of these bands make you think of other bands, or maybe these bands make you think of other albums from these bands. I love suggestions. You should definitely bring them on. Leave them in the comments. Of course, remember to like, subscribe, and share. 3 great ways to support this network. It is the Accusation Network, after all, the strangely named metal vinyl collecting channel. That's what I do once or twice a week. You should definitely like the video, share it with your friends, and, you know, again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. It's a great thing. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.